I'm Daniel, and this is Tiffany. We're with Stunning Stays, and we are talking about how short-term rentals impact the neighborhood. So let's start with the bad. Let's start with the negative, okay? What are the arguments and the disadvantages for having short-term rentals in a neighborhood? So first off,
noise.
There can be noise complaints and issues, right?
Parties. The big thing about short-term rentals, the negative, people say noise, parties, bachelorette parties, bachelor parties.
And the other thing about it is it takes off housing from the market. So it impacts the economy in the sense that it can take away, general housing for locals. So, and therefore prices go up in rent and in otherwise, as far as the affordability of houses. That's the other argument that people make for it, of the disadvantage of having short-term rentals in the neighborhood, right?
100%. And then parking, because if you're having parties or a lot of people at house, they say parking becomes an issue in the neighborhoods because there's so many cars there.
City nuisances, yeah, nuisances.
City nuisances.
Okay, now let's talk about some of the advantages and the benefits. So advantages and benefits of short-term rentals in your neighborhood are?
There are a few. I love short-term rentals, and one of the ones that we were talking about earlier was the income that it gives to owners. Explain a little bit about that. Why do short-term rentals help owners?
Well, owners do it for a lot of different reasons, okay? They can do it for cash flow. They can do it for tax purposes, can offset taxes through depreciation, okay? It's a good vehicle in that regard. And it also gives owners the long-term benefit of holding real estate as appreciation. So you can capture certain, these different advantages when you buy real estate. And short-term rentals impact it in the similar way, where you can run it as a rental property, but you're doing it as a short-term basis. And so it impacts the neighborhood. It attracts tourism, okay? And it also brings more business to the local, economy, right? They come in here for events, they come for the restaurants, they come in for the vibe that's in town. It attracts people, right? So those are a few of the advantages to having it in the neighborhood. Yeah.
100%. So what's great about it is it's a benefit in tourism, so it's helping the economy. But short-term rentals are taxed like a hotel if you're underneath 30 days. So the city's being benefited as well, like huge amounts. So, and not only that, short-term rentals are not like long-term rentals. People that are going into the short-term rental business, if they are a good owner or landlord or have a great management company, 9 times out of 10, they're putting a lot of money into these to make them extraordinarily nice. Meaning pickleball courts, pools, furniture that is really nice. I mean, you walk into these homes and they're beautiful. They're like a hotel. They're giving options. So if they're managed right, a short-term rental can be a huge benefit in your neighborhood because it's adding value. It's making something where people want to come, and it's adding value to the neighborhood.
A much different approach on housing than a hotel, because a better option than a hotel in many cases. And if there's a larger group or larger family sizes, that's a more attractive than just going to a hotel where you can do a 1 or 2 bedroom in a hotel. If you can do a 4 or 5 bedroom house, it gives you a lot better options. So it's great. Going back to the taxes, okay, just to give a comparison on doing a long-term rental versus a short-term rental, when you bring up the lodging tax, on a long-term rental currently, and it's going to be going away in January of 2025, but it's still in place until then. Taxes, usually averages between 1.5% to 2.5% in most cities in the Phoenix metro area. Compare that to when you do a lodging tax on top of all the other taxes that are subject to with a short-term rental. The total tax ends up being about, somewhere between 10 to 15% or 10 to 12%. That's a huge tax. So it's benefit to the city in that regard of the taxes.
So we have negatives, we have positives. Now, Daniel, what are some things that we at Stunning Stays do to make sure that our properties are a benefit to the neighborhoods we go into?
So first off, we enforce rules with each house that we take on. Okay. For example, we have quiet hours generally after 9 o'clock or after 10 o'clock. So the other big thing that we do is we don't take any 1 or 2 night minimums. Okay. We generally have a rule that if it's a last minute booking, we'll lower the required time that they can book it for 3 nights. And so that mitigates, the party types, because you're higher risk of parties or events if it's 1 night or 2 night minimum. So that's how we can mitigate that, and how we have a benefit to the neighborhood. is enforcing those type of rules. The last thing I'll say about this is the type of clientele that we're attracting. Okay, we're attracting a higher end clientele that wants to be in town for a nice stay, a nice accommodation, and in those cases, they're for larger groups in some cases, where they're here with their family to celebrate something, and so it really mitigates having a rougher crowd or that's going to come here and abuse the property.
One other thing we do at Stunning Stays is we want to know every person that's coming into the property. So on the site, we ask for every person that's coming in. So sometimes on Airbnb or VRBO, someone will book for one person. We go back and we ask, hey, how many people are actually going to be there? And we discuss it with them, because some people get around booking how many people are going to be there by just putting one person. That's something that people need to look at. If someone just books for 1 or 2 people, we always confirm how many people are actually going to be there to make sure we know who's going into the home. One thing that short-term rentals do that sometimes long-term rentals don't do is there's always pest control going on at the property, on the properties we service. And it's because you want to make sure that property is always clean. Landscaping is always kept up. We actually put a lot of turf into ours to make sure they always look pristine. Certain things like that help not only the neighborhood, but everything around it, and making sure that our properties are top notch. And so we make sure that we're a benefit to the neighborhood and not a downfall to the neighborhood.
And we inspect before and after each guest arrives. And we're targeting the higher end clientele that wants to stay in a really nice house.
Like when you say we're targeting the higher clientele, like some of our properties are actually double what Airbnb or VRBO say we should be renting them out at. We actually go for somebody that looks and says, I don't want anything underneath $300, or I don't want anything underneath this. We go for the people that are looking for the nice bathrooms, the kitchens, the bedrooms, and they're looking at the pictures and going, oh, that's beautiful. So we go for the people that are wanting that really nice hotel stay, a very nice accommodations, the experience. And so like you said, we go for a different clientele. We're not looking for the clientele that is nickel and diming. We're looking for the higher end.
We don't want the economy guest that's coming down to find the cheapest place in town to stay. Mm-hmm. We're looking for the one that wants a more, like you said, a great experience.
Great experience. So you can compare it to someone that wants to stay at Motel 6 or someone wants to stay at the JW Marriott or Ritz-Carlton. Like that's the difference. And you get 2 different experiences. Neither one is wrong, but you get a different clientele. And so Definitely. That's what's coming into our neighborhoods, is bringing in the clientele that wants to make sure the neighborhoods understand that this is a good thing and not a bad thing.
Definitely.
That's how we beautify the neighborhoods, and that's how we bring value to the neighborhoods. And that's why we at Stunning Stays do what we do, because we want to be an asset. Stunning Stays wants to be an asset to the neighborhoods and bring value to the neighborhoods.